Hi, I'm Jack, and welcome back because today I'm going to give you guys my review for a movie that I had the chance to go see yesterday based off of a very popular game, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. It is directed by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley, who created Game Night, and so as being the writers of Spider-Man Homecoming, and it has a big cast with Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Hugh Grant, Sophia Lillis, Justice Smith, Regé-Jean Page, Daisy Head, and many more. And let me know down below in the comments, what's your opinion on this movie? I'd love to know that. And with that said, let's get started. The movie follows a charming thief and a band of unlikely adventurers as they go on a quest to retrieve a long-lost relic. However, their adventure goes wrong when they encounter the wrong people, and they must do whatever it takes to succeed in their quest. I have no experience with Dungeons & Dragons. I know people that have played it. It sounds like a lot of fun, but I have never gotten the chance to play the game. So I came into this movie as a very casual audience goer. And I like the cast assembled for this movie. I love Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez. So I was really curious to see this movie when the movie was getting closer to release date, because it was a movie that wasn't on my radar at first. But the closer the movie was coming out, I was getting more intrigued to go see it. I love fantasy adventure movies of that style, and just the people behind it gave me a lot of hope that this was going to be a really good movie. And I liked the trailers. They seemed like a lot of fun, so I had a lot of optimism heading into the movie. So now that I had the chance to go see Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, I loved it. It is a very great and entertaining fantasy adventure with great performances, really good fantasy world building, and it is all around a fun time. Right off the bat, the performances here are great. Chris Pine as Edgin is the MVP. He is hysterical. He is so fun to watch. The movie really revolves around something about him that I really like. It has an emotional core that I wasn't really expecting, and a lot of it comes from Chris Pine's Edgin, and he is so fun to watch. He really delivers the lines really well, whether it's really cheesy or corny, or just the fact that he's just so charismatic that it just bleeds on screen, that he is so well cast here. He is so fun to watch, and because I'm someone that really loves Chris Pine and a lot of the stuff he's been in, he once again is the right person to play this character, and he is funny. He's witty, has some really funny moments, and how he plays off of everybody is really great.
What is it exactly that you bring to this?
I'm a planner. I make plans.
You've already made the plan, so...
If the existing plan fails, I make a new plan.
So you make plans that fail?
No.
He also plays the lute.
Not relevant.
And Michelle Rodriguez plays Holga, and she does a lot of the action here. She kicks a lot of people's butts. This movie is very much a fantasy action adventure, and she does a lot of the action. And she also has some really good scenes with Chris Pine's Edgin and the other characters, and I really like what they do with her here, because I haven't seen her in much outside of Fast and Furious movies, but I really liked her in a role like Holga. And Justice Smith plays Simon the Wizard, and his character arc is very good as being someone who's not that great of a wizard, but he learns to rise to the occasion and overcome his worries, and I really like that a lot here. And he is really funny with how the wizard, he has these magic spells, and how it's like, oh, I can't do this, but yes, you can. Just have faith in yourself. That is really good. It's a really satisfying character arc for his character, and I thought Justice Smith sells that in this movie really well. Sophia Lillis plays Doric, a shapeshifter, and I really loved her in the It movies, and it's nice to see her again with this movie. She is great playing a shapeshifter who doesn't like humans, but she goes on this quest with these characters. Once again, her scenes with Simon the Wizard and Chris Pine's Edgin are very good. All these cast members have a really good bond with one another. And Regé-Jean Page plays Zank, who isn't in the movie as much as you may expect him to, but he is a scene stealer. He's hysterical. His scenes with Chris Pine are once again a highlight of the movie, and how he really does just rise to the occasion for this character and do a lot of really cool things. And I like that a lot here. And Sophia Head is really great as Sophina, the Red Wizard. She is haunting, terrifying, and by far she does pose a threat to these characters at hand. And Hugh Grant is very good as Forge. The cast here is very good, and for a movie of a fantasy genre, it really feels like a lived-in environment where, with a lot of fantasy stories, I love lived-in environments where there's a lot of people, the areas they go to are very distinct, and this movie has that. It's really well brought to life. Visually, it's good, and I liked a lot of these areas they go to. It really just expands and fleshes out the world and the mythology of Dungeons and Dragons very well. And it seems like the directors really have a passion for the lore and especially the crew themselves. And it shows on screen. It's colorful, it's well shot, well directed, and I love how they utilize a lot of these different aspects of Dungeons and Dragons in this movie with the power sets of the characters, the action sequences, the locations, and even just some of the traps here, because I'm not someone that is familiar with the game, but I liked how they were able to bring that side of Dungeons and Dragons to life with the way the world is built, and I would love to see them do more with this world. If we get a sequel or television shows or whatnot, this is a fantasy world that I loved being in with this movie, and I'd love to see more of it. The action sequences are great. They're well shot. They utilize the characters' power sets very well, and it really gives off this really unique action feeling with Dungeons and Dragons as these characters, as there's a brute, there's a bard, there's a wizard, there's a shapeshifter, and how it's utilized is very cool here. There's some really cool action sequences. The visuals served it well. The choreography is done well. And even the way it's shot as well. Not really anything in terms of shaky cam, which I appreciate. And once again, it has a really distinct action flavor to it to where it doesn't feel like something you'd see somewhere else, because for a movie like Dungeons and Dragons, the way it utilizes the characters' abilities is really creative, and I really like how they do that with the movie. And this movie has quite a number of one-take shots, where if you remember Game Night having the one take with the characters trying to get the egg, there's quite a number of one-take shots here. They are very impressive with how they are shot, pulled off. I was keeping track of how many there were, and there were quite a lot of them, because with the events that are occurring, the way that it's filmed, shot, the characters at play, I was amazed by how well put together the one-take shots are, and I love a good one-take when it's done well, and this movie really succeeded with the number of one-takes they have, and it's creative, it's immersive. It really felt like I was in the moment with these characters in that world, and it gives out a sense of urgency to where we want our characters to succeed, and we don't want them to fail on their mission, and I really liked how that was pulled off here, and there's an emotional core here that really landed for me, which I didn't expect out of this movie, but it was utilized very well, especially by the way the movie ended, and the humor is hysterical. It is one of the funniest movies I have seen all year so far. The jokes landed really well for me. There are jokes involving a bridge and a corpse that I thought was absolutely hysterical. I was laughing so hard with the line deliveries, with the way it's playing out, with the situations. It is absolutely hysterical with the way that it's written, to where at times it can be so cheesy, but it just embraces that it's Dungeons and Dragons. It's weird, it's wacky. A lot of these really crazy things can take place, and this movie does it in such style that I had such a blast with the comedy in this movie, where recently comedy can be pretty hit or miss for me, but this is one of those movies over the last couple of months where I laughed majority of the time.
The bridge is protected by an ancient trap. We must not trigger the mechanism.
I may have triggered the mechanism. So, sorry.
If you are someone that also hasn't played Dungeons and Dragons, this movie does a good job of being accessible to where you get all the important stuff you need to know about how Dungeons and Dragons work with the characters, the rules, and I was able to follow along with the story well to where, yeah, it's a story that you may have seen a number of times. It's not the most unique out there, and of course, I would have liked more from the climax with the villain, but even for that, it's still well executed for what it is, because it does the story well. It has some great action sequences. The performances are fabulous, and the visuals are very good majority of the time, and I just loved being in this fantasy world. So overall, I had a blast with Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. It is by far the most surprising movie I have seen this year. And Chris Pine and the crew really showed up and delivered their A game with this movie. And it really does a good job of bringing us a great movie based off of Dungeons and Dragons. So in the end, I'm going to give Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves an A-. If you are someone that's a hardcore Dungeons and Dragons fan, or you're someone that doesn't know much about it, I highly recommend you go check out this movie. It's great, it's fun, it's entertaining. It has a lot of the things that I love about action, adventure, fantasy movies, and I highly recommend it for you because Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley did a great job of bringing this world to life with a fun story and some great characters, and I highly recommend you go see it on the big screen because it is absolutely worth your time, and I'd love to see more of this world and these characters. So yeah, that's my review for Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. What are your thoughts on the movie? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Stay tuned for some upcoming videos I have planned very soon. I'm going to have a review for The Last of Us Season 1 at some point, and a review for Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2 that has come to a close recently. So stay tuned for all that fun stuff coming your way very soon. And don't forget to follow me on social media. My username is down below at the bottom of the screen and in the description below. So please go down while you're at it. And thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button, and stay tuned for more.